Can you tell me what was involved in your actually being a character in the game as opposed to just supplying music with the game?
Yes, I said my priority was that I looked about 24 years old. And that was my input, really. And then for weeks and weeks they kept sending me sketches. No, 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 yes, that one.
The genius of David Bowie is immutable. Arriving microseconds after fellow pioneer Alice Cooper, the two would simultaneously redefine the very nature of theatricality in music, blazing two divergent trails every one of their contemporaries feared to tread in the process. A harrowing high-wire act that Alice maintains to this day, and David Bowie circumnavigated flawlessly until the moment he recently and tragically passed from this earth. But the Thin White Duke was a multimedia maven. From Labyrinth to The Man Who Fell to Earth and on into the night, the man seared on celluloid. But what far too few realized, at least until Kotaku and every other site hopped on the bandwagon after deliberately ignoring this game for 17 fucking years, is that David Bowie was a peerless pathfinder in the realm of gaming as well. Whether it was lending the guitar talents of collaborator Reeves Gabrels to the sci-fi stealth 'em up Deus Ex, or a cyberpunk masterpiece of his very own, Omikron, the Nomad soul. Without question, Quantic Dream's finest hour, next to Westwood's Blade Runner, hands the fuck down my favorite adventure game of all time. How many games today, never mind in 1999, have the fully engorged ambition to masterfully meld the forensic adventure genre with an open-world sandbox, with a first-person shooter, with an RPG, with a fucking fighting game? Yeah, choke down that tall glass of nothing. Now modify that list to include all games that dared to circumnavigate the narrative mire of dystopian metaphysics while permitting David Bowie to pen large swaths of a script that is occasionally harder to understand than Lemmy after a root canal.
Ooh, how irreverent. I bet I've offended a few people there. Hello, you can't get me, I'm on the telly. Sorry, I just lost my mind for a moment there.
Google all you like, we all know that list is shorter than the RSVPs for a Jared Fogle pool party. How you liking that 6-inch spicy Italian now, Jared? Not that all the elements work to perfection. Omikron is a textbook case of bleeding-edge innovation. Motion capture and facial animation technology that are serving fucking flapjacks at the base of the uncanny valley. In-engine cutscenes that play out in divergent fashion depending on multiple dialogue choices, but also happen to be goddamn unskippable, and non-linear storytelling that bottlenecks just a cunt hair too often. Just the tip of the innovation iceberg, and proof positive that contemporary gaming owes much of its current repertoire to the cyclopean strides made on PC in the late 1990s. You can mount that PC Master Race banner all you like, wear it like a fucking toga for all I care, but if you think the modeled conglomeration of bargain basement indie retrosploitation masquerading as a PC game library in 2016 can measure up to the ropey, vein-bespeckled Burmese python penis that was the late 90s PC gaming scene, you may as well build some robo-pirates and sell tickets to the abject fantasy ride in your fucking skull, pal.
The Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
Granted, between the Mobius art style, the David Cage byline, and the inborn Eurotrash pretense of it all, Omikron couldn't be any more French if Bowie's character was swilling deep-fried snails on a baguette, using a white flag as a bib, and washing it down with a tall glass of Jerry Lewis's cum.
The colors, children.
But steer into it. Let the francophilia flow through you. After all, without French sci-fi, anime wouldn't have had anything to steal. The very concept of casting the player as a disembodied soul errantly vacillating from vessel to mortal vessel, inheriting their abilities, fallibilities, and apartments in the process is a visionary one. Why, if only we could take that concept, neuter it like Bob Barker's Chihuahua, slap it on some rails, and cast the unibrow eunuch herself, Ellen Page, as the lead. Why, we might even hope to sell half as many units as the game that preceded it, especially if we did so after consistently cock-teasing a proper sequel to Omikron the Nomad Soul for the past 12 fucking years.
That's true.
I'd tell you to eat shit, David Cage, But I don't know where you're gonna get British food in Paris. But before the 72-hour mopathon Beyond Two Souls, before the protracted plot hole party of Heavy Rain, before an enthralling forensic thriller disintegrated into a mid-air Dragon Ball Z fucking fist fight in Fahrenheit, there was this slab of stellar cyberpunk, a game that thanks to its metal lawn art style and soundtrack rife with organic 90s Bowie anthems that brilliantly contrast with the bleak futurescapes of the game world, excels every bit as convincingly in the realm of atmospherics as in its pioneering blend of disparate gameplay. Though honorable mention must be paid to Bowie collaborator Xavier Despas's superb original score as well, with its bleak synth-slathered ambiance expertly punctuated by the occasional electric guitar sting or even East Indian mysticism. Omikron is a sonic sojourn you'll be hard-pressed to put out of your mind. It had been nearly 3 years since my last proper playthrough of this game, yet I stood transfixed, utterly awestruck by how every wayward flourish of the synthesizer remained hardwired into my brain. Omikron boasts one of the most immediately captivating narrative hooks in history. When a police officer shatters the fourth wall, demanding the aid of the game player and avenging his untimely demise, to do so, you must assume his body and enter the dystopian nightmare of Omikron, a world that turns familiar and grotesque, but one the player must circumnavigate to discover the details of Kale's murder amid the deepening corporate conspiracy helmed by the Tetra Corporation. Along the way, your titular Nomad soul can transmute at will from one host to the next, each with divergent attributes and backgrounds, at least one of which happen to be David Bowie's scorching hot wife. The story takes Vince Russo caliber swerves in the final act, but the dreamlike novelty of the game world never fails to draw my jaded ass right the fuck back for repeated playthroughs. A game as ageless as the rock star that collaborated on it. Omikron, the Nomad Soul, proof that not every element of a game must be perfect to yield a perfect result. If only Quantic Dream would take a harder look at their former repute before breeding the unbridled banality of their latter-day efforts. It is a Greek tragedy that an icon had to die for the rest of the gaming community to finally realize that fact. Rest in peace, brother Bowie. It just ain't gonna be the same without you. Godspeed!